When you're looking at a portable espresso machine, the first thing that pops into your head is usually a mix of excitement and doubt. You picture yourself pulling a calf-style shot in the middle of a campsite, but then you wonder if the device will actually deliver quality coffee, or if you'll end up with a lukewarm mess that's more hassle than reward. That hesitation is real, especially when you factor in the cost, the learning curve, and the fact that many portable models end up being bulky or unreliable. In today's review, I'm going to walk through exactly what the TBLOTYD Pneumatic Espresso machine does, who will get the most out of it, and where it might fall short. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the concept behind a pneumatic espresso maker is simple. Instead of relying on electricity to heat water, you force hot water through coffee grounds using pressure generated by a hand pump. The TBLOTYD unit sticks to that formula but adds a few practical touches that make the experience feel less like a science experiment and more like a genuine coffee ritual. The biggest selling point is the variable pressure gauge, which lets you dial in anywhere from 1 to 16 bars. For reference, a standard espresso machine typically operates around 9 bars, so having that range gives you the freedom to experiment with lighter Americano-style extractions or push for a full-bodied espresso shot. From a day-to-day standpoint, the biggest advantage is the no preheating claim. Because the machine uses pressurized hot water from a separate source, most users fill the reservoir with water that's already near boiling. You skip the waiting time that a traditional pump machine imposes. In real-world use, I've found this works especially well when I'm at a cabin with a kettle on the stove. I heat the water, pour it into the TBLOTYD's reservoir, load a small portafilter with finely ground beans, and crank the pump. Within a minute or two the pressure gauge climbs, and a shot pours out. The process feels a lot like pulling a lever on a classic espresso machine, but without the electric cords and bulky metal housing. If you're considering the TBLOTYD for home use, the compact size is a genuine benefit. It takes up roughly the same shelf space as a large French press, so storing it in a kitchen drawer isn't a nightmare. For travelers, the stainless steel body holds up to the occasional bump in a backpack, and the lack of an electrical plug means you can bring it on a camping trip without worrying about power sources. That said, the machine does require a source of hot water, so you'll still need a kettle or stove somewhere on site. In a true off-grid scenario where you only have cold water, you'll be forced to rely on an external heater, which adds an extra step that some competitors simply bypass with built-in heating elements. Let's talk about who should actually consider buying this. If you're a coffee enthusiast who enjoys tweaking variables, grind size, dose, pressure, and you're comfortable handling a hand pump, the TBLOTYD gives you a playground. The manual nature forces you to engage with the brewing process, which can be rewarding and educational. It also suits people who travel frequently and need a reliable espresso option that won't trip a hotel's electrical limit. Campers who already bring a kettle for tea or hot chocolate will find the added espresso capability a nice perk, especially when they're trying to keep the gear load light. On the flip side, if you're a casual coffee drinker who just wants a quick, set-and-forget espresso at home, this machine might feel like too much work. The learning curve, getting the right pressure, timing the pump, and ensuring the water temperature is truly hot, can be a bit steep for someone who prefers push-button convenience. Additionally, the manual pump can be tiring if you're pulling multiple shots in a row. A reviewer who attempted to make a double espresso noted that maintaining consistent pressure over a longer extraction required noticeably more effort, which could be a turnoff for anyone with limited hand strength or patience. Now, for the practical strengths that actually matter after the purchase. The visual pressure gauge is surprisingly accurate. You can tell at a glance whether you've reached optimal extraction pressure, and the incremental markings let you fine-tune the shot without guessing. The stainless steel construction feels solid, and the ports where you attach the kettle or hose don't leak, even after a few weeks of use. The machine's compactness also means you can keep it on a countertop without it dominating the space, which is a relief for small kitchens. The weaknesses are more subtle but worth noting. Because the unit relies entirely on manual pressure, consistency can vary shot to shot. 2 mornings in a row, you might pull a 9-bar shot one day and a 12-bar shot the next, simply because your hand speed changed. That variability isn't a problem if you enjoy the experimental side of coffee, but it does mean you won't get the same espresso quality you'd expect from a high-end electric.